we're talking about Marcus Rashford had a Twitter campaign about continuing the free school meal, which low-income families can receive in England. But it doesn't happen during the school holidays. And he was saying this is a pandemic. A lot of families are depending on that to make sure that their family does have at least one, their children have at least one good meal a day. Now, Marcus Rashford plays for Manchester United, Manchester for the English Catholics under the Diocese of Salford. Can you tell us a little bit, first of all, about what this issue is? Most of the people who will be reading this might be from America. How important is this free school meal for low-income families?
Yep, thank you. It's very important, really, because it's not simply about food. I think when we're talking about the free school meals, what we're really talking about is poverty and people on very low incomes that are trying to support and feed their families. Marcus Rashford, that plays for Manchester United and England, comes from a big family, and he'll know what it's like for his mom to have been trying to put food on the table for his family in his early days as he was growing up. So I think it really goes to his heart, this issue. But I think what's really important here is for us to see food as a poverty issue, and in particular to see it as a health issue, and even to see it as a mental health issue. If you're somebody who is worried about where the next meal is coming from, or if you're worried about making a decision between buying a pair of shoes and feeding your family, then that is a mental health issue, and that's the sort of tensions that can come into people's lives and create anxiety. So I think we've got to see it in the broader perspective of food poverty, and to recognize that in Britain, as in parts of America as well, of course, particularly in city areas, there's going to be quite a lot of urban poverty around that's quite hidden, and in our case, sometimes hidden by the welfare state. So we've got a situation in this country where actually helping people by food banks and by giving people vouchers and giving people free school meals and vouchers for their families is actually goes to the heart of British society in terms of poverty, health, well-being, and mental health.
Now, we're in the middle of a pandemic. This is the stated reason why this has been extended. A lot of people out of work, and there's a lot of knock-on effects about that. Can you tell us how the pandemic has been affecting the poor people in your area?
Yeah, well, at Caritas, which is the charity for the Diocese of Salford, which is in Greater Manchester, of course, we run a variety of services, particularly helping people on low incomes through our community centres. We also help people through our refugee projects and through our destitution projects, where people have no recourse to public funding. But we're also helping a lot of people who are homeless. In addition to that, we have what we call a school service, which is working during the holidays. And at the moment, schools haven't gone back like they normally would have done by now because of COVID-19 and because of the social distancing. So it's been left to individual parents and local authorities to make their minds up when they're offering school places back to children. So in the meantime, the responsibility to feed and look after their children has been extended from the holidays into the school term. And this is what's creating the problem. And this is what the issue is about, again, Marcus Rashford and colleagues who have been campaigning to get the free school meals extended in the holiday through the voucher scheme to help people because of the COVID-19, which has kept children at home, kept them with their families. And as you say, many of them now are being furloughed, which means that they're not getting their full salaries, even if they are in employment. And next month, from the end of July, they'll be getting even less money if they've been furloughed because of the changes in the government support to retaining people in their jobs. So the initiative that's been developed by Marcus Rashford and the Fair Share organisation of Manchester has really gone to the heart of so many people. And that's why I think there's been a real groundswell of support for this initiative that's turned over the government from yesterday saying no to saying yes today.
I was going to bring that up. The government did do its big U-turn today. Today's Tuesday, June the 16th. What are your feelings on that? There's that positive aspect that, yes, people can force the government to change, but it also, you have to wait for a Premier League England football player to actually get the government to change its mind, even though policy experts have been calling on the government to make this very decision.
Yeah, it's interesting that the U-turn has been done in 24 hours, and the current government is not exactly famous for agreeing to U-turns and coming under pressure. Generally speaking, the Conservative Party tends to hold their line, so to speak. So this is a surprising U-turn, but I think under these circumstances, I think the government is recognizing the popularity of this particular campaign is one thing. And I think the other thing is that, we are a country that is looking for kindness at this moment in time. We're looking for compassion, and we're looking for the kinder side of the political world that we're in. And we need that sort of ability sometimes to change our mind and to give way to public opinion. And I think this has been one of those things that the government hasn't found too difficult to do, quite frankly, because they know that it is to the public benefit in a very difficult circumstance of a pandemic where many people are struggling and increasingly will struggle as time goes on to put bread on the table. So I think it's a recognition by the government of the needs of the people.
Finally, Marcus Rashford has spoken a lot about his upbringing, coming from a poor family, a hardworking mother, and the importance of her Christian faith when she was helping bring up his family, and has not been shy about his own faith. Does this give hope to Christians, not just you who are working in a big organization, but everyday Christians, that yes, if you put your faith into practice, you can make a difference?
Absolutely. And it's such an important thing to recognize that so many good things that are being done are by people who have either a faith, whether it's a Christian faith or another faith and belief, or even if it's just a faith in the fellow human being. The Marcus Rashford situation is interesting because, as I said earlier, he came from a big family. He was actually schooled by Manchester United. He was actually spotted by them when he was 11 years old. And he was actually put through a very good education by them from the age of 13. So I think for him, there's a little bit of payback here. And I think for his values, so to speak, that he's so superbly demonstrated as a young man, I think he's been an inspiration to so many other young people. To associate his actions with his faith, I would say that's and his mother's faith is a good thing for them to have done. But I think that there's a greater thing here, and that is that actually, a very humble person from a very ordinary background who's become a superstar can still sort of be grounded, so to speak, in the everyday life of so many people around him. We often hear of these more sort of sensational stories of people who achieve great wealth and move away from their grassroots and stuff. And it's wonderful to see a young man like Marcus Rashford sticking with his grassroots and really helping the community around him from which he grew up in. So this pandemic has brought out so many good things in faith organizations and groups. And as the director of Caritas in Salford myself, I'm very proud of our staff and our volunteers many of them who've made a lot of sacrifices and taken a few risks in their own health to come out day in and day out to continue to provide what I call frontline services, away from the national health perhaps, but nevertheless very important ones to keep people fed, to support people, and just to be a moral compass in a time of uncertainty and change. So very proud of Marcus Rashford and his family, the people that have supported his campaign, and I'm very proud of my own organization in Caritas, who actually directly benefit from his campaign, because through fair shares, where there's a distribution of foods through that organization, we're members of Fair Share in Manchester, and we're direct beneficiaries of that scheme that helps us to feed the people that come to us for help.
Thank you very much.